This television show in recent years has become one of the most, fascinating things I have ever watched. It loves to stress out the audience, pushing survival to its absolute maximum before barely pulling through. It rarely uses Deus Ex Machina as a last-minute savior, though, which is why it keeps the stress going. But I don't watch it for the Season 1 survival, or the emotional relationships, or even the never-ending stress. I watch it for the science fiction because, damn, has this show ever taken off with its sci-fi. It has concepts from all over the place. Season 3 was the fanbase's somewhat disliked season, mainly because of, if you've seen the show, you know how the fanbase reacted to a certain emotional creative decision, but I absolutely loved that season as a whole. It was freaking amazing. Season 3 spoilers are coming right now, by the way, because you see, that one episode where Lexa died is simultaneously the most loved and severely hated episode of the show. Apparently hated for the decision, and loved for the absolutely mind-blowing sci-fi reveals, which, the second I saw coming, dropped my jaw, desensitizing me to everything else in the episode. So because the Season 3 sci-fi fascinated me so much, you can imagine my adoration of Season 6. I was hoping a lot of things would happen in Season 5, which did, and Season 6, I've been calling things left and right on Twitter, so I'll finally introduce The 100 as a theory series on my channel. Perfect timing too, since I have tons of ideas as to what they'll do next this season. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and spoilers, please do not watch Season 6 spoilers right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. So far in Season 6, the group has landed on the moon, known as Planet Alpha. Back during the Season 5 finale, I actually went in and looked at the time they were asleep, and it is roughly concurrent with the speed of spaceships and the distance to our closest stars, shocking me at the attention to detail. It got me thinking, how much more detail is in this show? Based on the fact that the Elegius missions and general futurism was basically funded by the scientist known as Becca, I deduced early on that these humans would likely have her tech. And indeed, they each have their own personal, reworked flame. The rebellion group known as the Children of Gabriel, early on, I was pretty sure would actually be the good guys in some way, given the eerie serenity of Sanctum's main gated community. I think that's pretty spot on, as it would seem that their goal is to prevent immortality. I think I heard them say death is life at some point. Gabriel then, of course, heavily regrets his decision to create immortality and has recruited his own cult to undo it. Despite opposing the primes he created, he too seems to be one, and is likely trapped in an eternal state wherever he is. They've been going so incredibly sci-fi lately, I was worried they'd go too far, but yet, the show keeps its ties to Earth and reality because it knows what it's doing. Given the nature of the latest sci-fi concepts shown off, I was already betting on the notion that time travel would get involved at some point, and then boom! An event known as a temporal flare smokes down the woods and ages Octavia's hand. I'm pretty sure it did age it, and then they confirm it later. It'll probably spread, forcing her to slowly face her own mortality after she wants to live. It's just the intuitive thing they do. Now, editing this script from a week later, I can confirm that's exactly what they have done. If time travel goes this deep into the show, then so too will the other science fiction fragments. I bet they'll head to that main planet eventually, or find intelligent aliens, or get involved with black holes, and go back to the past where they'll try to stop the nuclear apocalypse from ever happening. The last of humanity will become interplanetary explorers or something. See my point? This stuff is becoming more and more likely, and while writing this, I just found an interview where the creator literally teased a time travel finale, so voila! It'll probably all end with the primes being in their chips, forever on ice, floating away or something, with Alpha eventually destroyed by another war. As you can see, my mind is an unraveling non-linear blast of predictions which mostly somehow keep coming true. But now, the stuff to come. Predictions and the question fresh in everyone's mind, will Clarke Griffin come back? Yes! And once again, now writing this from the future, she seemingly has. You see, I wrote half of this script before last week's episode Memento Mori, and half now, after it. But Clarke is alive, because here's just the thing. She's survived through multiple infinity chips before, both the Soul Transference one and the one created by Ali the AI. This part's unscripted, but I just realized that probably is what's going to happen. Notice how Maddie and, I think her name is Gaia, the blonde-haired teacher. Maddie said, I hear Clarke calling to me to help. But then Gaia said, no, the commander can't hear from previous chips. That means Clarke is inside. They were hinting towards it. Okay, back to the script. When it comes to these mind mini flames that the primes have, the minds that are getting erased most likely are just becoming dormant. Hence, Monty's son's quasi-girlfriend telling him not to let her become a face behind the glass. A metaphor referencing how he saw the dormant Wand crew in cryosleep. I'm pretty sure everyone else still has those alley chips malformed in their heads too. That bothered my OCD. Raven and Abby had the chips extracted, but everyone else kinda just left them there. The show will probably bring it all back around and prevent them too from being possessed or something. It'll be epic, know that. Speaking of unrelenting science fiction, ever since they casually glossed over this phrase, the anomaly, back in like the 3rd episode or something, I've been pondering more and more what it means. And at first, my assumption was that, well, it's a Terran spacetime of some kind, which Gabriel, the old man, has locked himself in. He regrets the immortality he's created deeply, and he's probably become some sort of supernatural amalgamation by entering a spacetime deformity. Now, I was going to theorize that the so-called temporal flare was coming from said anomaly, given that the phrase temporal, of course, is time itself, but then they straight up confirmed it in Memento Mori. So the anomaly is explicitly now linked to time travel and calls to its infected. Gabriel is calling, perhaps? So what is the anomaly? Clearly it's a time-dilated zone on the moon known as Alpha, perhaps from gravity, electromagnetism, or some technical collection of exotic matter. But here's just the hypothesis, one I'm not too sure about, but would love to pitch to you. Could it be a portal to Earth in the past? Okay, here's where things get epic. Again, because I'm about to posit something perhaps a bit drastic, most of the things I've been calling correctly are simply due to intuition in regards to what I've come to expect from the writers, and their very specific yet broad usage of sci-fi elements, but this is full-on speculation because I'm proposing that the anomaly is a portal back to Earth, a portal to a time before the nuclear apocalypse. Gabriel likely wanted to die and found himself in the anomaly through some means of warped space-time. I think there's a possibility that he found himself appearing back home where he wanted to be. Earth before the nukes. And here comes a step beyond speculation. Here comes the absolutely shockingly fascinating mind blow. He went back in time and used his alteration of the memory drives to literally show Becca Franco the path to the human mind he discovered. They didn't come to their conclusions independently. He taught her. A step beyond even that, could that traumatized man who blamed himself for everything, not only letting Ali out, but more, this Chris, could he be some form of Gabriel? I don't know, but I'm still not done with this idea regardless. In the season 6 finale, everyone will probably travel back to Earth and try preventing the nuclear apocalypse, only to solidify it further, just like Gabriel. Now, I'm not sure if this anomaly will send them even further into the future, or if it'll have my whole past prevention idea and the Gabriel-Chris one, but one thing's for certain. Gabriel wields time travel, and the anomaly is exactly that. Earth is so incredibly dead now, probably has something to do with the mysterious camera angle on Clarke's worms she left behind. The producers have been doing literally everything I would have this season. It's bizarre, but it's excellent writing. They've used, no joke, obscure concepts from other films. For example, The Happening with the eclipse's effect on trees, or Altered Carbon with the Primes, or The Host with Josephine and Clarke, or definitely Black Mirror with literally every single concept relating to the technological mind. It goes on, and these are very common concepts, all ones I love intensely. Now, another reason I considered this past reversal idea is because of the symbols drawn by Dioza. It's complicated madness, as if her currently alive self is right there, a few miles away, through a portal to past Earth. This whole Earth anomaly idea also fits with possibly my single favorite sci-fi trope in existence, the very fundamentally mind-bending notion that your home is right there all along. Examples from Christopher Nolan films are perhaps the best. In Inception, for example, they're all dreaming. Cobb and Mal stayed 50 years in a mysterious world, but it was heavily grounded by the fact that it was only a few hours and they were in their living room. This film has a brilliant, inexplicable feeling of unending time and yet finality. Interstellar is a more concrete example, believe it or not. This dude travels across the universe to another galaxy through a wormhole, arrives in the center of a supermassive black hole's tesseract, and finds that he's behind his daughter's library shelf. An utterly shocking and profound concept from a concrete and metaphysical standpoint, almost inexplicably perfect. I don't even know how to describe this whole so sci-fi yet still at home concept, but I'd kill for it to be in the 100. They did this whole Book 2 thing because they wanted to change the show by making it a conglomeration of sci-fi fantasy, but really, nothing has changed a whole lot, and creating a storytelling divide like this was probably unwarranted for the time being unless they are going to become interplanetary explorers or something. How many more millions of years can the cryosleep work, though? Mind drives are the only option, and something tells me they're going to smash Josephine's. There are more questions. What exactly did Murphy see when he died? Is this the sight that has allowed all of the primes to fear death as well? What is the hell? Does one's soul electromagnetically pull towards a stronghold of pain? Damn, this is sounding more and more like Lost if it had had its questions answered. This season will probably end with something like mind replication, multiple minds of the same person, or Gabriel having created the anomaly, perhaps it wanting Dioza's baby. And viewers, I will be here to closely study it all. This show is, as of right now, officially becoming one of my channel's main live-action TV show theory series, just like Stranger Things, Supernatural, and Once Upon a Time. I just have to, it's so good right now. I've been rating all of the episodes too. Here's what I've gotten so far. I'm sure more concepts will be introduced too. Russell is a good guy, perhaps he'll join the main gang in the end. Perhaps one of the chips will have a mind merge with the hosts. The next episode is cleverly titled Never Mind, implying lots of mind-bending possession will be going on. And a really out there one. We never saw Jordan in Monty and Harper's recordings, so can we even be sure this is him? So many questions. In the months to come, it'll be much more grounded and clear, and definitely subscribe if you like this show. I'll be all over it until it ends, and it won't end for a while. The CW needs a new excellent show after Supernatural finishes in 2020. Comment your theories below, and like the video so I can game the out of that algorithm. Until the next video, I'm the Theorizer.